Good evening, everyone. My name is Vernisha Jones, and I am the president of the West Garfield Park Youth Council. And we believe that we are the solution to the issues in our community. Our theme is Nothing With Us, Without Us. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is sponsored by Fathers Who Care, which is a nonprofit organization located on the west side of Chicago within the West Garfield Park community. The West Garfield Park Youth Council is comprised of young people from our community whose focus and concern is youth leadership and a voice within the community to reduce senseless violence and illegal substance use. We invite people from all over, especially our young people, to come in and see what we are all about. Our show will be scheduled every Thursday at 7 p.m. Again, that is every Thursday at 7 p.m. Our show can also be viewed online at www.cantv.org/live. Again, that is www.cantv.org/live. So everyone, I'm excited because we have a very special guest this evening. Someone who has dedicated her life to serving young people with her heart, patience, and a whole lot of energy. And trust me, you need all three when you're working in a school. Joining us tonight is Ms. Gloria Jones, a dining manager with Chicago Public Schools. She's a mentor, a mother, and the woman responsible for feeding half the kids in the city and feeding me my entire life. So believe me when I say this woman knows how to keep folks in line and keep them fed. So she's someone who doesn't just show up to a job. She shows up with love, purpose, and the kind of attitude that makes kids actually want to behave in the cafeteria. Most days, right? It ain't all the time. Most days.
Most days. Yeah.
So thank you so much for being a guest on my show this evening. And are you ready to get into this little conversation?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Okay, so the first question I have for you, Ms. Jones. For those who may know you and those who may not, can you share a little bit about who you are and what is your role you play as a school dining manager with CPS?
Well, my name is Gloria Jones. I'm a school dining manager. I've been with CPS for since 1999. Mm-hmm. I've been with CPS, and I love what I do. I'm also a mother, a wife, a sister, an aunt. I play a lot of roles. And again, I love what I do. I love working with children. I love being around the children every day. They just make my day.
So what would you say really inspired you to want to be involved in the kids? And then to, from this far on, not only what inspired you to start, but why are you still in love with the work that you do today?
Well, what started me to want to work, because for a long time, that was not something I wanted to do. I was a beautician. I was, one of those home beauticians. I did hair. Had a big clientele and everything. My thought was not about working in a school with children until I started having my own children. And when I started having my own children, that was like a big inspiration for me to want to go out there and deal with other children, because I realized how special children were. So that inspired me to say, you know what, I think I want to do something else with my life. And so I went and applied with CPS. And I started working with CPS, and I haven't stopped. I love what I do as far as getting up every day and going and being around the children and just watching the children and the impact I have on them and the impact they have on me, because it goes both ways. So it's something I just love doing.
Okay, so you work closely with students every day, correct?
I do. Mm-hmm.
So what do you feel young people today need the most from adults around them? Because from my looks, not just because you're my mom, but from my looks, you tend to have strong relationships with kids, and that's something hard to come by. You have a lot of people that works in schools, but a lot of people don't have them relationships with kids, where kids actually want to be around you, kids actually want to speak to you, kids want to see you outside of school and talk to you. what do you feel young people need the most from adults around them to make them feel comfortable, safe?
I feel that young people need that undivided attention, that listening ear, because most kids just want to be seen and heard and feel that they are not being judged, you know. And I find that with a lot of our students. I tend to watch students a lot. And certain students just catch my eye really bad. And I have to grab a hold of those students, you know, because sometimes a lot of them just need somebody to talk to, somebody to listen to them, somebody to make them feel like they care about them, you know. And so that you know, that's my spiel on that one.
Okay, in your role, you don't just serve meals, you build relationships. Can you talk about a moment where you realized the impact you had on a child, if you could remember a moment?
You know, I could, but I would say it's so many different impacts I've had on children, and not just the impact I've had on them, but the impact that they have had on me. You know, because I've encountered so many children in so many different situations that they're going through and that they have been dealing with. And, you know, I know that I made a big impact on them because I run into a lot of students that from different schools that I've worked at, and they all remember me, and they always come running to me. Oh, Miss Jones, oh, you the best lunchroom manager, and you know, and that makes me feel so good because that means that whatever impact I had on them, it worked. It worked. They remember me and they respect me because I give them that same respect, you know, and I just try to be there. You know, I don't want to get into detailed about certain situations, you know, but I'm always trying to be there for the students, whether it's if I see a student that need a coat, I'll go out and buy one. You know, I go out of my way. I go shopping for the students as if they're my kids. And I look forward to doing that because I love to see the look on their faces when I hand them stuff. You know, I had a student came into school today, and this student had on a real little bitty coat. And just the other day I went and I said, I got some new coats in my basement. Let me pull them out. And I pulled out a tote full of coats. And I said, I got some students that I've been targeting, and I want to catch these students and pull them to the side because I never let anyone else know what I'm doing with them because it's personal. And I pull certain students to the side and say, come here, come see me. And I try to be a blessing to them. But this young man told me today, I called him, he came into the school, and he came to speak to me. And I said, come here for a minute. He had on a coat that was like up here. It was really little, and you could tell, and he's like an 8th grader. And I said, I got something for you. And he came in my office, and I said, try this on. He tried the coat on, and he looked at me, and he said, I got to give it back to you. I said, of course you don't. I said, I'm giving it to you. And he said, oh, Miss Jones. And that reaction, I get that from so many students and from the things that I do with them and for them. And, you know, and that touches me. That keeps me in the schools because I like being around those little ones. You know, it's the elementary schools that I love, you know, so.
And y'all, just to piggyback on that, I was going to say something about it, but then she brought it up. So growing up, it was crazy because she, like she said, she goes in stores and shop for the kids just like they're her own kids. We used to feel some type of way about that because our thing growing up used to be like, why are they, even though we're getting what we get, we used to always be like, why are they? But then I really appreciate that because it taught me you know, I'm the same way now. Like, when it come to kids and I see kids in need, or when it come to people in general and I see people in general in need, even if I have to give it to you off my back or I have to give it to you out of my closet, I tend to try to be there for people that I feel like in need. And like you said, as far as it being a situation where you're dealing with people and just seeing a smile on the person's face and seeing how you can make a difference in a person's life, it makes a huge difference. So I really appreciate the person you are and the type of work that you do, because that's, for one, it's your own personal money. You're not getting them from nobody to help nobody. So it's like your own personal. And on top of it, like she said, she had her own 4 or 5 kids. So it's like, for you to have your own kids, you have to do for your own kids. And we was fully fed, fully clothed, fully everything, and you're still making your way to do for other kids. That's a blessing. So I definitely appreciate you, and you are amazing, Queen.
Thank you.
You are amazing.
Thank you.
So the next question I have for you: what changes have you seen over the years? Because mind you, that's another thing. I went to the same school with my mama growing up. So, like, imagine how that feel when you at school and your mama just giving kids stuff. You remember in grammar school?
Yeah.
Your mom just giving kids stuff, and it's like, Mom, I want that. I want that. Nisha, you got that at home, and I couldn't get it at school, but that's neither here or there. But speaking on, like, the relationships you have with kids, prime example, when I was going to May, you was working at May. You had relationships with all of the problem kids. All of the problem kids were your kids. All the problem kids went to Miss Jones for everything. Literally everyone. What do you see in these kids, and what do you see the changes in over years? Because I noticed they respect you. So what do you have to say about that when it comes to kids that other people look over, but they tend to cling to you?
Because I learned to accept them as they are. You know, I'm not judgmental to them. And, you know, I like reaching out to students like that and just children like that, because I feel like that could be my own child, you know. And I try to reach out to children like that because I feel like those children need to be heard. They need to be seen. They need to be told, you know, I love you. A lot of children don't get that. You know, I have little babies. We have a lot of different students at our school of different nationalities. I have babies at my school now that don't speak English. But whenever they see me, they grabbing me. They want to hug me, and I want to hug them back. And I be looking at them, you know, because when they see me, they get so excited, you know, and that makes me feel good because I feel like they need that. You know, everybody don't get that at home. You know, and, you know, I feel like I was placed in a school for a purpose, for a reason, so that I could reach those type of children. And I'm praying that what I do and the way I react to children will be something that someone else will grab a hold to and say, you know what, when I get on my job, whether it's a school or whatever, but I'm going to treat people like that. I'm going to make people feel important, make people feel special, you know, and that's what I like doing.
Okay. And so, as someone that works in a school every day, what do you believe students wish adults understood about them?
I think students wish adults understood that they were children, you know, because a lot of times we look at children and we put them in a box and we act as if we've never been a kid before. You know, that is a turnoff to me when I see any adult that acts that way, you know, because I was once a kid. And a lot of times, a lot of students that I see myself. That's why I can relate. And students, that's all students want you to do. Children in general, they want you to accept them the way they are with all their flaws. Don't be judgmental, you know, and just be there for them. If they need to talk to you, be willing to listen to them. Stop looking at all the bad things, because we have a lot of students at school that I hear a lot of people say, oh, Miss Jones, I don't even know why
you
let them talk to you, because they are this and that and the other. And I'm like, but I don't have that problem with them. You know, you might have that problem. I don't have that problem. And it's because of the way I treat them. And that's what they want. They want adults to treat them like
You care.
treat them like
a
you
human
care.
being, like
And
they
treat them
respect
like
it,
they're
yeah.
human, and don't be judgmental. You know, don't be looking at them saying, "Oh, you so bad." You know, and not try to figure out why you so bad. You know, or that person, that child got a problem. Why?
Exactly.
You know, so I'm the one that's not judgmental. I just, because I hear people, even my staff tell me a lot. Oh, Miss Jones, we're going to have to give you a whooping because you always going out your way for these kids and this, that, and the other. But that's what I love.
That's what she do.
Doing. I love
We stopped nagging
that
about it a long time ago.
touches my heart.
Yeah.
Yes, because
we stopped
when you
because it was
all
like,
growing
yeah.
up, I'm like, even when you all would ask me for stuff and I would say, no, if I got stuff for the students, if you know you got it at home, because I've always been like that, no, I'm going to bless kids that don't have. I want to look out for those that don't have. If you already got it, don't get mad. Just sit to the side and let me do what I got to do for them. I got y'all. But let me be a blessing to somebody else,
So is it always easy? Like, is it just a smooth road, or do you have difficulty when you're dealing with young people?
What do you mean?
Like, is it always easy? Like, with young people, do you have issues with young? It's always.
It's not always easy.
Okay.
It's not. It's not. You have some that will give you a run for your money.
Okay.
I'm willing to do that race. They can give me a run for their money, for my money, but I'm willing to give them that race because I care enough, to do it. I care enough. So whatever you put in front of me, that don't bother me. I'm gonna watch you even harder. I'm watching you more than I am somebody else.
Yeah.
Because you the one want to challenge me. And those be the same students that come back and say,
And because them be the ones that really
I
need the
love you,
love.
Miss Jones. Give me a hug. And every time I see them, they want to grab a hold to me. But that's the same thing I want to do to them because I know they need it, so.
Okay, so some people go to work to do a job, but you truly serve with purpose. What does it mean to you to serve from the heart and not just for a paycheck?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I know this is a good one for you.
That's a real good one, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I remember years ago, I got a promotion. And I'm going to be real quick with this story, but I got a promotion. My big boss downtown came to the school where I was at and said, Miss Jones, you're so good with these students, and you're a really good manager, and just gave me all the, pats on the back that anybody deserves. She gave it to me, and she said, for that reason, we want to promote you to become a high school manager. We want to move you past the elementary manager. And she did that. They moved me from an elementary manager to a high school. And she said, we're doing it, and you're going to make way more money. Everything, it's going to be way better. Your check's going to be bigger and everything. I said, okay. I was excited at first. And I went into the high school. I did 2 weeks in the high school. I got that first check. It was big. And it was decent. But after I got that check, I thought about how I was missing those kids. Those kids that looked forward to me during Christmas time because they knew that Miss Jones around Christmas time, she going to try to make sure every student gets a gift. Thanks to my husband, with Fathers Who Care, that supports me in what I do with the children. And I go out of my way shopping every time I look around to make sure that every student gets a gift from me. And I was missing that. I said, so I'm not going to even be able to do anything for the kids. And I remember I called LaWanda Finnerson. I said, I got to go back. And she said, what are you talking about? I said, I got to go back to the elementary school. She said, but somebody else has been put in your place. I said, whatever you got to do, Luana, please help me go back to the elementary. She said, but you're taking a drop in salary. I said, it's not even about the money. I realized that God has been blessing me and has been taking care of me my entire life. I've never missed a beat. I've never did without. My children have never been homeless. Our lights have never been turned off. So it's not even about the money, because God has always made a way out of no way. He always made a way. So I said, because of that, I want to go back, because I feel like and I'm getting emotional thinking about it. But I feel like my job was to be there for those children. And when I got with those bigger kids, I'm like, nah, I don't want this. I want to go back with the little kids. I want those little kids that appreciate everything I do, that embrace me every time they see me. I want to go back there. I don't care about the money. LaWanda said, okay, we're going to get you back in the school. They had to let a manager go so I can go back to my school, because the principal said if she want to come back, she come back anytime.
And they always, all the principals
want her back, because they was mad because I left. And I went back to the school, and the looks on the kids' faces when they saw that I was back was more than any paycheck I could have received. And I've been back in the elementary ever since, and I plan to retire elementary school, looking out for them babies, your babies, my babies, so that right there was
it's
like
enough. Okay.
Yes.
So we getting down to the nitty gritty. We down to the end of the show. I have one more question for you before we
Thank you,
end
Vivian.
this. If you could speak directly to parents watching this show, what advice would you give them about supporting their children?
If I could speak to the parents, I would say the best way to support your children is by holding them accountable for their actions. And stop giving your all thinking it's helping the kids when it's only messing them up and giving them a great sense of entitlement, even when it is not deserved. Hold your kids accountable. Stop giving everything that you don't have just to put a smile on their face when they don't deserve it, because that's the reason why so much is going on now with our children, with the disrespect, with everything that's going on, because these kids are being rewarded and they don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
They don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
My kids got rewarded when they cleaned up their rooms, when they did everything they had to do. Then the rewards came, and it was well deserved. My kids knew that if we don't do what we're supposed to, she's not going to give us anything. She'll go and give to all the other kids and miss us just because we didn't do what we were supposed to do. A lot of our students and our children now are not being held accountable for their actions or anything. They're not being held accountable if they don't do their homework. It's like, okay, sweep it up under the rug. And then we wonder why everything is so chaos now. It's so chaotic right now because our children are not being held accountable and they're getting away with so much. But yet we go broke to make sure that they wear all the designers, all the fancy hairdos, everything that really does not even matter. It's not going to benefit them in the long run, because I even hear students when they come to school and they say, oh, you see my jacket? My jacket cost me $200-300. No, it cost your parent $200-300. Because when you get older, you probably wouldn't spend that type of money on it. Stop doing that for them kids. Stop going out of your way. And you're probably living from check to check. Make your children earn what you give them. And then they'll appreciate you and they'll appreciate everybody else around them. Because they'll know nothing comes for free. You got to earn it.
Well, thank you so much for being the guest on tonight's show. Tonight's conversation reminded us that the people who make the biggest impact on our kids are often the ones who don't ask for recognition. They just quietly show up every day and make things happen. And if you've ever been in a CPS cafeteria, you already know Miss Gloria Jones. Miss Gloria, everybody know you for the most part. If you work in the school, you for the most part you know who she is. Already know Miss Gloria Jones is running things like she's the mayor of Lunchtime City. That's basically what you is.
I am what?
The mayor of Lunchtime City. That's what
What
you are.
is that?
Yes. So, Mom, thank you for sharing your story, your wisdom, and for still being the only person I know who can get the kids to finish their vegetables without starting a negotiation. To everyone watching, let's keep showing up for our young people, whether we're in the classroom, whether we're in the cafeteria, or at home, pretending we're not tired. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, and this is my guest. And I want to, next week is Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving to everyone, and see you guys the following week after. And yeah, bye.